Okay, so here's the thing with this one. It is far more rewatchable than this director's first film, Grave of the Fireflies. But a lot like Kiki, it doesn't quite reach that higher echelon that I gave to Fireflies and a bunch of the other earlier Studio Ghibli movies. However, once again, just like Kiki, it is still a great animated feature in its own right, and it's one that I still recommend that you go and see if you haven't seen it yet. And I can tell you right now, I can 100% guarantee this to you right now, actually, is that this is not at all like Grave of the Fireflies. It's not a true story, it's not going to rip your heart out and drop a bomb on it, and it's not suffocatingly depressing. This one is actually a sweet, simple, touching, and really joyful slice of life story. Now, yes, that means there's nothing like supernatural or fantastical about it, but sometimes that's really all you need. You don't always have to be supernatural or fantastical to make a great movie. So, let's talk about it. And another thing I gotta talk about this movie right off the bat before we even start this review is the fact that somehow this movie took until 2016 to get an English dub. I don't know how or why it took that long, but it literally took 25 years for this 1991 movie to get an English dub. How? If anyone knows the background behind that, please let me know in the comments, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Anyway, what's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mr. Station, which is a fan of animation, including TV, movies, and especially, apparently, Studio Ghibli. I am your host, Jackson Small. Welcome back to Ghibli Month, and welcome to my review of Only Yesterday, the second Studio Ghibli movie from the director of Grave of the Fireflies. And like I said in the intro, it is not suffocatingly depressing this time. So, we're going to have a happy conversation despite the fact that this is from the director of Fireflies. So, without further ado or delay, here's my written review. I hope you enjoy. Here we go. The director/writer of the heartbreaking Grave of the Fireflies returns to steer the ship for Ghibli's sixth animated feature film. But thankfully this time, instead of ripping out my heart and dropping a bomb on it, this was a really sweet, touching, and simple and joyful slice-of-life tale that brought out tears of happiness rather than crushing sadness. To put it simply, I really liked this one. I didn't quite love it, but I really liked it. When a 27-year-old office worker named Takeo travels to the countryside for a temporary vacation, she finds herself venturing down memory lane through her childhood from when she used to live in Tokyo, and how it made her who she is in the current time. Voice cast first, as per usual. And again, what's weird about this one is that not only is this the second time that this director's movie and Ghibli's filmography was not re-released by Disney, and I kid you not, this is the actual reason they were scared of discussing periods back then. That is literally the only reason they did not dub this movie. I kid you not. And again, it seems hypocritical nowadays, considering Turning Red exists and that talks about periods, but I don't know, I guess Disney was different back then, that they did not want to talk about that. I don't know, it's stupid. It's stupid that Disney didn't re-release this, all because of one scene that they could have easily just looked past. Like, come on, Disney, have some balls for once in your life. But also because, despite being released in 1991, it took 25 years to get any English dub at all. And said English dub was not released until 2016. Yeah, almost 10 years ago from our current time. How? Why? I don't know. I'm gonna need to do research afterwards on that one. Which is more ironic when its lead star and the lead voice actress in this movie was none other than Rey Palpatine herself, Daisy Ridley. Literally only 1 year before her breakout role in Force Awakens. Yes, the main character of this movie is voiced by a Star Wars alumni before they became a Star Wars alumni. Literally 1 year before that breakout happened. Still, it's so weird. Not only is she great in her performance of Takeo, and I'd argue that's Daisy Ridley's best role, but she's surrounded by a very strong supporting cast, including Dev Patel, who we just talked about, I believe, last year with the excellent action movie Monkey Man, Grey DeLisle, best known as Daphne in Scooby-Doo, and Azula in Avatar The Last Airbender, Laura Bailey, Nika Futterman, Tara Strong from Fairly Odd Parents, and even both the current voice of Shadow the Hedgehog himself, Kirk Thornton, and Insomniac's favorite webhead / everyone's favorite teenage alien superhero, Yuri Lowenthal. Yes, Yuri is in this movie. It's sad to say the least, and the tradition of past Ghibli movies, they all deliver stellar performances. Like, I cannot believe this movie's cast is as stacked as it is despite not being from Disney. Like, Grave of the Fireflies, it had pretty much complete unknowns voicing every single character. But here in Only Yesterday, again, this is from the same director as Grave of the Fireflies, they somehow actually got celebrity VAs without having to use Disney's assistance. Now granted, again, one of them was Daisy Ridley before her big breakout role as Rey in the new Star Wars trilogy, but they still got some big names in here, like Dev Patel, Grey DeLisle, Nika Futterman, Tara Strong, Kirk Thornton, Yuri Lowenthal. Like, that's a pretty damn impressive cast despite not having actual backing from a big corporation like Disney. That's impressive. And of course they all deliver stellar performances because it's a Ghibli staple at this point. AKA, take notes, modern cinema, this is how you do celebrity voice acting correctly. But I'd argue the best part of this movie this time around is its pure visual storytelling. Yes, even better than the voice acting. Not only because the animation is gorgeous, just like pretty much every Ghibli movie, but also because of how it uses two different styles to visualize between the current time and the vignettes of Takeo's past. With beautiful, minimalist watercolor for the latter, and said watercolor is not even completely colored in because it's meant to look a bit like a fading memory, which, beautiful choice on that end, and highly detailed Ghibli traditionalism for the former. It's slightly more detailed and textured than Grave of the Fireflies. Then there's the soft tone. It is a slightly serious movie, but it's not like, again, it's not crushingly, suffocatingly depressing. It's a lot softer, and it's a lot more nostalgic, in a way, because this is about a character traveling down memory lane. Perfect runtime, outstanding pacing, it's slightly slower than most Ghibli movies, but it uses it really well. Wonderful morals about enjoying every moment of life. That's always a great moral, that will never get old. High rewatchability, much higher than Grave of the Fireflies because it doesn't rip my heart out. And an ending that will leave you with the right amount of questions from ambiguity. And tears of joy, because this movie's ending is a tearjerker, but it's not as in, like, it's a saddening tearjerker. As in, like, it's a beautiful tearjerker. One that causes, like, tears of happiness to rain down your face. Instead, tears of sadness. However, it's still not quite on the higher level of the first four movies from Ghibli. Like, those first four, just damn, those first four, we have yet to come across anything up to that level again yet. Mainly because the attempt at romance in the current time falls completely flat from lack of chemistry. Now, the voice actors are really good, and the characters themselves are really delightful and wonderful. The problem is that when they try out a romance with these two characters, they just don't have that chemistry to really make it believable. The story, a lot like Kiki, is really simplistic, which doesn't really justify its own vast ambition. And since this is a more realistic feature, there's nothing extravagant or supernatural here, which is going to be disappointing if you're one of the people that, again, watched and loved and adored those first few Ghibli movies, where it was very out of the box and extravagant. Overall, though, this is still yet another great entry from Studio Ghibli's long history and full of charm. And much like Kiki, it's not quite on that upper echelon due to a few undeniable flaws. But it's still a great movie, and if you haven't watched it yet, I can easily recommend it to you. Final verdict for Only Yesterday is an 8.5 out of 10. I liked it slightly more than Kiki, but I did not like it more than those first 4 Ghibli movies. Even Grave of the Fireflies, as depressing and heart-destroying as that thing is, it was still, masterful storytelling on a completely different level than I was expecting. It's a lot more run-of-the-mill Ghibli, but it's by no means bad. It's still great. We have yet to come across any bad movies. And I have a feeling that we won't, because Studio Ghibli has one of the most squeaky clean, super positive reputations of any animation studio that I've ever come across. Yes, even more than classic Renaissance Disney. Okay, that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please excuse me while I grab my binder, because I gotta remember what we're talking about next. Next up is Porco Rosso. I have zero clue what to expect because I've never even heard of it. I'll tell you all about it in the next review. See ya!